On behalf of the Professional Baseball Strength and Conditioning Coaches Society, I'd like to welcome you to the PBSCCS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Messina.
All right, everybody, I'm here with Anthony Velazquez of the New York Yankees organization. Anthony, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate your time. Tell the listeners about yourself, if you would, please.
Well, first of all, Chris, thanks for having me. I guess we'll start back on, where it all began. I graduated from Romeo, so I'm originally from Romeo, Michigan. And once I graduated from Romeo, I took off to Central Michigan University and got a 4-year degree in health, fitness, and preventative rehabilitation. Actually, prior to that, a lot of people don't know this, is my first year I went to Ferris State as a freshman. And I actually went there to be an architect. And, that was a little off path. And then I ended up transferring over to Central after a semester. A desk job really wasn't for me, and I always loved sports. So then going back to it, graduated from Central Michigan. And from there, I ended up getting my first job after I graduated at Lifetime Fitness and went to the private sector and worked there for about a year doing personal training. And then, one day just sitting at the computer and submitting resumes out and ended up getting an interview in Beverly Hills, California at another private club. Ended up flying out there and it happened pretty quickly. Within a month, I ended up moving out to California and working there for 3.5 years as a private trainer. And so going from there, 3.5 years, I moved back to Michigan, decided to get my master's degree in exercise science at Oakland University, and landed my first internship with the University of Michigan. And I worked with Olympic sports. I was exposed to, I believe, 28 Olympic sports there, and I was there for 6 months. And, I wanted, you always want to incorporate different philosophies and see other coaches and what they have. So from there, I wanted to, see the football side of things, which I didn't do at Michigan. And I ended up going to the University of South Florida, which is in Tampa, working with the football team. And, got some good experience down there. And then after about 6 months, I got a call from an old guy from Michigan, one of the coaches there. I ended up going to the University of Maryland and asked me if I was interested in coming down there and joining the staff. And ended up shooting back up to Maryland and working with Olympic sports again. So, that went really well. And, again, always being proactive, I submitted some resumes, and baseball came along. That's why I interviewed with a couple baseball teams, the Phillies being the first one that gave me a call. And small story short, I ended up taking the job with the Phillies back in 2013. So that was my first professional experience with baseball. And I was an intern at that time for the A-ball in Clearwater. And, after the internship ended, I had to find a job. So I had a period of time where I was applying to different positions. And, I got an interview with the Yankees at that point in time. It was a couple months after. And fast forwarding, I ended up getting the position with them, which I'm currently still with at this time.
Man, you've been all over. We've talked within the last season so many times, and I had no idea you were all over the place like that. That's really cool, though, man. I'm a big believer myself in just experiencing a bunch of different things and then kind of finding what works best for you. And it kind of seems like you've been doing that. So this past year you were in Double-A. The year before that you were in A-ball with the Yankees. Were there any differences that you experienced between the two, or was it kind of closer than what people might expect?
Going back to A-ball, it's different in the fact that, it's the first professional season for most of the players. So at that point, it's a lot of development in terms of routines, player management. It's going through a long, grueling season, so they're really defining themselves in their career at the time, too. Playing more games than they've experienced in the past. So it's really creating good routines, teaching them how to take care of themselves and stay on the field, and kind of showing them what's to come in baseball, so they're prepared for after they move up. And going to Double A, routines are developed. The players got a good idea of what to do, and it's a lot of management. Making sure they stay accountable to their programs and they're staying on top of their stuff. And their programs are pretty good, and they have trust in you. So if you want to add something that they think is going to benefit them, and you work hand in hand, and the maturity levels different. They're older players, so that's the big difference between Double A and A-ball.
Yeah, for sure, man. I've kind of seen it myself. I started in rookie ball and then in Double A. I would agree 100% same page on those concepts there. So when we first tried to set this up, you were a one-time winner of Strength Coach of the Year. Now, fast forward, you are a two-time Strength Coach of the Year. You won in A-ball and you won in Double A this year. So first off, congrats. I've had a lot of coaches on here, and I always bring up that it's a peer-voted award. And so clearly you're doing something right. So what is it that you do that makes you successful?
Well, first of all, Chris, I want to say I appreciate that, and I'm very honored and humbled to be accepted these awards and be voted by my peers to have these awards. And it's great. I think the biggest thing with me is I like to build relationships with the strength coaches. There's a lot of great minds, a lot of great strength coaches out there. So anytime I get a chance to talk shop or get to pick their brains and relay my information, we all could help each other out. So I think it's important, just the connection with the strength coaches out there. And yeah, we're on different teams, but in the end, we're on the same team because together we're really driving this profession forward. Baseball, strength and conditioning. So it's it's developing those relationships and all working together. And you guys do different things that I may do, or philosophies or different backgrounds. So it's interesting to go back and pick you guys' brains about that type of stuff. And that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I love that we play you guys so many times in a year because you're one of the guys that always comes over to talk, or when we're in town, your weight room is right next to our clubhouse, so it's like we're always chatting. And so, I believe it firsthand. I've experienced it, the relationship building with you and how open you are to just conversing with other coaches. So, again, congrats on that. And in general, big picture, what do you believe makes a strength and conditioning coach successful?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, continuing to educate yourself and, gain the knowledge, go out there, continuously have goals for yourself. There's a wealth of knowledge out there, books, YouTube, you name it, so continuously growing and never being okay with where you are now. You always get better. And as a strength coach, reading research and, studying different trends, everything's evolving. So staying on top of your game is the biggest thing.
For sure. So you mentioned the education. Where are you going yourself for continuing ed? What books are you reading or podcasts you're listening to? Any seminars you attend? Where do you go to keep yourself sharp?
When I have a chance, I like to attend conferences. And I just went to the coaches conference, watching presentations and, again, building those relationships and picking the brains of a lot of coaches out there. And secondly, I tend to read a lot of books. I'm always, going through books. And what interests me is, I look at a lot of Navy SEAL books, mental toughness, books on knowledge, success, and, continuing to read up on our research in our fields. And that's primarily what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
Cool. One of the things that you haven't mentioned in this that I'm going to bring up selfishly is you're looking to get your PhD and you're currently pursuing that. Again, selfishly, this is something I really want to hear you talk about. So anything that you can share about it, where you're enrolled, what kind of classes you're taking, what the path is, anything that you're willing to share, I am more than willing to hear on this. So what do you got on your PhD path?
Well, after getting my master's degree, I was finally done with school, and and kind of like I was talking about before, you're continuing to educate yourself and you're looking for different ways to better yourself. And I had a conversation with one of my professors at the time, and he's like, he brought to my attention a PhD degree, which one of his students currently applied for. And I was like, you know what, that sounds like a good next goal. And so I got into it with him and discussed it, and I ended up applying myself. And that was a few years ago, so I'm in my third year now. And so at that point, here I am doing a PhD degree, and it's in human performance, leadership in health and human performance. And again, what that's geared towards is all the classes are research-based, exercise science. So preparing you for the field too. If you want to go into teaching as a professor, if you want to do research, it's kind of open you up for anything that we do in our field. So there's a lot of different avenues you could take with that.
How difficult is it to balance the classwork with work, like your baseball work?
Well, it's as difficult as you can make it, If you're hard on yourself and you kind of procrastinate a little bit, we're going to get buried. If you really have time management and knowing when to do what, stay on top of your stuff on a daily basis, then it's as easy as you make it. So, I mean, it's a grind. I made the choice to do it, so I don't make excuses for myself. I find ways to get it done, and it hasn't been a problem.
Cool, man.
At this point.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely interested to hear more, so we'll talk a lot more at some point here. But what do you believe in within strength and conditioning that others think you're crazy for believing?
You know what? I don't really believe in anything crazy. I just believe in what works. I take research that's out there and I apply it. Stuff that's proven to work, and I'm not really one to try to reinvent the wheel. So as in something crazy I believe in, I really don't believe in anything crazy. It's just sticking to what works for me.
Yeah, man. Sometimes reverting back to the basics and following the science is almost looked at as crazy nowadays. So maybe it is a little bit crazy to think that, but I understand where you're coming from on that one.
Yeah, we don't have to make things so difficult. Simplify things and stick to the basic fundamentals of what works, and that's what you really need to do. You don't have to make it so complicated all the time.
Exactly. So you're clicking on a pretty high level, like I mentioned, 2-time Strength Coach of the Year. You're getting your PhD. What advice do you have for others in this field?
Like I said, it's a grind. Just find ways to step out of bed and be ready to go every day. Bring that energy to work, and that energy everybody feeds off that energy. It starts from the moment you step out of bed. Just constantly stay on top of that, bring the energy, and like I said, dedicate yourself to what you're doing. Educate and continue to seek knowledge in your field to get better every day. Whatever that may be, find something that gets you better every day to challenge yourself.
Yeah, players really feed off of the energy of the strength coach. I just finished a book on coaching, and one of the big points they brought up was, like, if you are providing good energy, it'll probably show with your players. And if you're not, it's going to be very apparent. So that advice really is good stuff, man.
Yeah, you want to have these players, excited to come in the weight room, and the energy that you bring, and you got to make it, the environment fun and exciting. It's a long season, so that's really important to stay on top of,
For sure, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on a lightning round? You down?
I'm ready.
All right, cool. So first question, who is your biggest influence in the strength and conditioning field?
I would say when I first started, some of the biggest mentors I had was at the University of Michigan. When I first started, I learned a lot. You had Bull Sandoval, Mike Favor, Jason Cole, Lou Porciazzo. That whole staff was good, and they're big on research and applying programs based on research. And that's really which influenced me. And I looked up to those guys, and that kind of driven me to this point. That's the point I want to get to, and go out there and present and do all these things that these guys done. And they have a wealth of knowledge where I really started from that influenced me.
There's a lot of big names on that staff. That's really cool that you got to work with all of those guys.
Yeah, that was great.
Second one piece of equipment to train with, what would it be?
Squat rack.
Squat rack, okay. Including barbell and plates?
Well, yeah, 2 and 3 pieces of equipment.
Okay, 1A, 1B, and 1C, right?
Yeah.
Biggest accomplishment professionally and or personally?
I would say biggest accomplishment is landing a job with the Yankees where I'm at right now. It's great, and continuously getting to the point I'm at, with the PhD and everything. So like I said, just always trying to accomplish something. You have one goal that's finished, well, you have another one. So will I ever be done accomplishing something? Probably not. I'm always gonna have something else next. But up to that point, definitely landing a job with the Yankees.
It's crazy how that works, man. Like, you set a goal, you achieve it, and you're like, all right, what's next? Like, never being satisfied. It's really good. Really, really good. So last one here. Any career other than strength and conditioning, what would you choose?
Any other career besides strength conditioning? I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I mean, I really love what I do, and I can't really see myself doing anything outside of strength conditioning.
So you really didn't like the architecture route then?
Like I said, I'm a high energy person, so for me to sit at a desk all day, it just really wasn't for me. I tried that out, and I was good at it, but again, I need to be moving around and weight rooms outside, wherever it may be. So that definitely wasn't my career calling.
Yeah, I started my first semester as a chem engineering major, and they were like, all right, one out of every 3 people is not going to make it through this program, so look to your left and look to your right. And I just looked at myself, and I was like, yeah, this is not going to be me. Like, I need to get out of this. So I know exactly what you're talking about, man. As soon as I got into this field, it's like, all right, I made the right choice. So right there with you on that one. If the listeners want to get in touch with you, man, where can we get more from you? Are you on social media, or are you not into that?
Yeah, I'm on social media. I kind of mess with Instagram. That's the best place, and email.
Cool. Perfect, man. Well, it's been fun, short and sweet, but a lot of good stuff in this one. And we'll be talking to you soon. Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, that concludes our episode with Anthony. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions about his PhD program, or you just want to talk shop with him, I'd highly recommend getting in touch with him. 3 things that I took from Anthony: continue to educate yourself, stick to the fundamentals, and always step out of bed and be ready to bring the energy every day. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll talk to you again on the next one.